Welcome, Guthrie Sports Page Television. Chris Evans with the ball coach, head coach Rafe Watkins. And, Coach, 3-0 on the season. The non-district portion of the schedule, what coaches like to say, the first part of the season is now over with. Your take from the first three games, both positive and negative, what you take into district play?
Well, the positive is we're 3-0. You know, there's a lot of good teams out there that may be 1-2 or 2-1, but the guys that are 3-0 are no closer to the playoffs than the guys that are 0-3,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what we always say every year. And of course, we're glad we're 3-0. We know that we didn't play real well the last 2 weeks, but you know, you take away just a few mistakes here and there, and it's a total different deal. And we're going to feed off the positive and go on. I've been very pleased with this week's practice because we've had to learn a lot. I mean, they do a lot of with the no huddle that Durant does on offense. It gives, you know, a different look of how you have to practice, and then of course on offense I've been very pleased this week, especially today. Today probably is our best practice overall for all phases on a Wednesday. Very pleased with today's practice, and again I think the kids realize that the real season is here, and you know, I always get worried about homecoming week, but so far they're treating it really good.
Clayton Smith came off the field. His status?
Clayton, you know, he's going to be able to, it's not blown out or anything. He's going to be able to play again this year. I don't know when. I'm hoping he's ready by Carl Albert. You know, he's been out trying to get ready for this week. He is not playing this week.
Pretty tough.
And I doubt he plays next week. And then if he doesn't play next week, then he won't play against Terry either. But I hope he's ready by Carl Albert. We'll need him then. And, well, I mean, we'd love to have him right now. But JP will do a good job, Josh, and the rest of the crew that's been going in so far this year is doing a good job. And, you know, best thing is Clayton's still going to get to play some this year and not going to have surgery or anything, because I'll be honest, when I went out on the field and knowing how tough he is and seeing the pain that he was in, I was certainly worried.
Keaton Counts did a good job running the veer for you, over 100, almost 200 yards rushing on the night, but you got to take a deep breath. I know as Blue Jay fans, kind of take a deep breath when you see Keaton run. So, but it is an important part of the offense, though.
Well, we have to. You know, again, we don't want him to go out there, and he doesn't have to put in that 150 yards every week like some of the other quarterbacks of the years that we've had. You know, with the DeMarcos and Josh Chappells, and then of course Kai's. But we like to see him go out and do kind of like what the things that Brent Hodge did: throw for 150 to 200 yards and put in another 50 to 75 rushing, and that just makes him so much more dangerous. It makes our offense more dangerous when they see that he will pull the ball down and take off for that 20 yards if you give it to him. They're not going to double cover our receivers as much. Of course, again, you talked about the veer. Couldn't run it any better in those 2 ways. The 2 times that he ran it in a row and scored on, went for about 60 yards on the 2 plays. And then his effort there at the end, I hated that we had the penalty because of that effort that he made on that scramble and then to dive in the end zone like he did. Now, that made me nervous up 30, you know, 28-7. But I was really, really proud of him to see that type of effort. And that's what we got to have. That right there does so much for his leadership ability for our program and for him as the kids see that, you know, if your quarterback's going out there and doing those type of things, the rest of them is going to fall in line as well.
Everybody likes to talk about offense, but defense, as we've seen in the past few years, wins the championships. And your team's given up 10 points, and a good McGinnis team, an El Reno team that's improving, and a much improved Piedmont team. But your defense continues to put pressure on the quarterback and keep points off the board.
It does, and we're going to have to be very sound this week again with the no huddle. You know, they're a no-huddle offense. They don't get it off real quick. You know, it's not a speed-up type, but it is no-huddle nonetheless. So we've got to practice. We're going to have to play as we go along in the game. We don't know if it's the same as like what Ardmore did to us in the playoffs last year, or if it's going to be where we can, you know, just the front little part be able to huddle up or what. But the defense they've been playing fantastic. You know, they're going to have their biggest test by far this week that they've had on the year. You know, McGinnis, they were very good offensively, but we knew the 5 or 6 things that they like to do, you could repeat it and run it over and over and over again, and you had to get good at that, and you knew they weren't going to change a lot of things. This wide open stuff, they'll go no back with Max White at their quarterback, and he can, you know, he's an outstanding athlete. He's the best athlete we faced yet this year. He can go the distance on any play, and that's what they're hoping for, that they spread you out so much. But we're going to make sure that we have people to take care of him for the run, and they're going to have to beat us with the pass if they're going to do so.
We'll talk about Max White, but as a team coach, they're 2-1 on the season. They lose their only home game and come down to the final seconds in the fourth quarter, but they've already won 2 games on the road, so they battle-tested on the road.
They are. They've had a tough schedule, too. You know, they played McAllister week 1, and that's a big rivalry for them, and then they lost, as you said, to 8 at home. And the thing there is normally if it was been a good, clean game, I would have said, well, you know, I like our chances really well because of the fact that Ada, you know, we were very similar. But they had 8 turnovers in that loss, and still at the end could have kicked an extra point to tie it, but chose to go for the win. Threw a little tight end delay, hits the kids right in the hands, and he drops it. So really, they should have won that ball game over a very good Ada team with having 8 turnovers.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes you fearful of them a little bit. But if we go out and play like we're capable of playing, and we play with the intensity that I know our kids can play with, it should be a fantastic ball game. But I think we've got a really good shot if we go out and play well.
Max White, over 800 yards last season, all-purpose yards, rushing, receiving. Is he kind of like a Brett Davis of Shawnee? I mean, he punts for average over 40 yards. He hit 4 field goals last year, including a 51-yard field goal. Is he somewhat comparable to the Brett Davis kid of Shawnee?
He never comes off the field from that standpoint. Brett's probably a little bit, he's a little more dangerous from what he can do both sides of the ball. He is a free safety and he'll make plays. He's probably not as good a defensive player as what Brett is, but he's an outstanding athlete. He'll be as good as we see up to Carl Albert for sure, and he's everything for his team. We hope that we can wear him down a little bit. I hope he has to chase a little bit on defense, and then if they use him on offense like we think that he will, then hopefully he'll tire. But he certainly hasn't showed it early, and if he's not tired in game 1 against McAllister when it was first week, he's probably not going to be tired week 4.
And you look at he uses different receivers, up to 4 receivers, and he's got a good running back in Tyler Fields.
Yeah, they're very good. They're a senior-laden team. Their line is all back, and I think 3 of them are 3-year starters. They're massive. They've got 290, 285, and 275 inside. Big kids, 6'5", 6'4", and they're very good. They've got 3 senior receivers and 1 freshman receiver. The only kid that's not they got 1 junior receiver that rotates in and 1 freshman receiver who's really their go-to guy as far as their receivers go. Very good kid. And so Garza, I believe, is his name, something
John
along.
Garza. And
he very good player, especially just to be a freshman. So, but the rest of them are senior laden. They've been in some big games. That district last year that they was in with Bixby and Shawnee and McAllister. McAllister was really good last year, and Shawnee and Ada. That was definitely the toughest district in the state last year. So they're battle tested and they know what it's like. And Coach Cordell, he's another Northwestern guy. He was a baseball player up there, but he's nonetheless he's from Northwestern and has done a fantastic job at Tishomingo and now is doing a great job at Durant.
And all district games are so important throughout the season, but not important at home.
Oh, you've got to win at home, and these first 2 games especially, they're playoff type games because they're certainly Durant and Ardmore are both teams that you feel like are going to really be in that top 4 or 5 that's going to make a run at the playoffs. So it's just so crucial to win at home. And again, you worry a little bit about homecoming, but we get through Friday as far as through the parade and everything, and we'll be home free.
It's been pretty good years past. We'll hope to continue it here.
It has. It's been, our kids have stayed focused, and I think we had the one loss in 05 when we had all the injuries when we was playing Deer Creek, and that's the only homecoming that I can think of us losing. We played some good folks in there also. We played Weatherford 2 different times on a homecoming, which I don't know why we did that, but we won both of those. So it certainly, if they stay focused, we've got a good chance that the homecoming is not going to have anything to do with it.
Coach, appreciate you as always.
All right, thank you.
Head coach Rafe Watkins on Guthrie Sports Page Television.